Recently, both reality TV and the video games industry, which have both taken off in a big way, have faced increasing scrutiny over the ethical treatment of performers. And this has been particularly pronounced in the context of intimate and explicit scenes, which are often scenes that subject performers to distressing situations without adequate prior notice. And these issues not only raise ethical concerns but also highlight the vulnerability of freelancers who fear being labelled as troublemakers for standing up for their rights and for their dignity and for the basic ethics of the performance. Reality TV, despite its immense popularity, has long been criticised for its exploitative nature. I have led some of that criticism, and I don't restrict it to the production itself. I'm particularly concerned about the way performers are treated post-production. Participants, often regular individuals rather than seasoned actors, find themselves in a highly charged and emotionally manipulative situation designed to provoke drama and intrigue. And the line between entertainment and exploitation is perilously thin. As has been revealed in several BBC interviews, many performers in reality TV have spoken out against the lack of transparency and respect for their boundaries on set, particularly during scenes involving intimate acts. And the presence of a large, often male-dominated crew can often exacerbate feelings of vulnerability and discomfort, turning what should be a professional environment into something more invasive and more terrifying. Freelancers, who make up a significant portion of the reality TV workforce, from the performers right the way through to the set runners and in fact producers, face unique challenges. Speaking out against unethical practices can lead to being blacklisted in the industry and beyond. And the fear of being labelled a troublemaker by people who never have to defend their allegations because they've moved on often forces individuals to endure situations that compromise their personal and professional integrity. And this echoes the broader issues within the creative industry, where power dynamics heavily favour producers and directors, leaving performers with little recourse. The video games industry, and oddly, I've put my foot both into reality TV and into video games. So I'm speaking with a little bit of information here and a little bit of insider knowledge. That the video games industry, which is, of course, distinct from reality TV, faces many of the same ethical challenges. As the industry has evolved, the inclusion of explicit material, including sex scenes, has become common. But the process by which these scenes are created often mirrors the exploitative practices found in reality TV. Motion capture performers, as detailed by professionals like Jessica Jeffries in a BBC interview today, frequently arrive on set with little to no knowledge of the scenes they're expected to perform, and the lack of transparency and the sudden demand to perform explicit content can be shocking and distressing, and all covered with an NDA. Jeffries recounts a particularly harrowing experience where she was asked to perform a graphic scene without prior warning, and this incident underscores the industry's failure to protect performers, particularly women, from being thrust into traumatic scenarios without proper preparation or support. While she was able to refuse this role because of her experience and her and the fact that she was quite well known in the industry, many freelancers in similar situations would feel pressured to comply to avoid jeopardizing future work. In response to these challenges, organizations like Equity have been advocating for better working conditions and transparency within the games industry, and better consent about intimate scenes, the use of intimacy coordinators, a call for greater notice and consent, and the ability to request closed sets. And these measures aim to protect performers and ensure that they're not placed in compromising situations without their knowledge or consent. Of course, the fact that there are people watching or listening if you're doing a vocal performance is understandable, because these people are animators and content developers, who are looking to pick up hints to inform their own performance later on. So it's not simply a matter of a stack of drooling individuals, mostly men, watching an intimate recording. They're also creatives, and they may also be impacted by what they are forced to observe. There's a knock-on effect all the way around here. The push for ethical standards is not about stifling creativity or storytelling, but ensuring that the process respects the dignity and well-being of those involved. As noted by Rhiannon Bevan, modern games like Baldur's Gate 3 have started to get it right by employing intimacy coordinators and taking explicit scenes seriously rather than using them merely for titillation. But the parallels between reality TV and the games industry are striking and should be made. Both industries are driven by the pursuit of entertainment and profit, often at the expense of the performer's well-being, and freelancers who lack job security and the protection of permanent employees, and in the case of reality TV, lack mostly any form of union representation or proper management. And these freelancers who lack the protection of being permanent employees are particularly vulnerable to exploitation. The fear of being labelled as a troublemaker can silence valid concerns, and being pushed into a corner and find that you are a troublemaker simply because you have questioned an assumption. It perpetuates a culture where unethical practices go unchecked. And ultimately, the path forward lies in fostering a culture of respect and transparency. Whether in reality TV or video games, performers deserve to know what they're signing up for, and they should have the power to refuse roles that make them uncomfortable without fear of reprisal. The push for ethical guidelines, supported by organisations like Equity, represents a critical step forward towards ensuring that all performers, regardless of their medium, are treated with the dignity and respect they deserve. This is something that was inherent in the Variety Artists Federation up until the 1960s, when it combined with Equity. And since then, Equity has acted as a sort of gatekeeper to the industry rather than supporting anybody who is in the entertainment industry. If you are performing in public, if there is a paying public watching you, and you are taking a fee, then I think you should be represented by a union, because you are a worker. You're working as surely as you are working if you are packing peas on the factory floor, or performing secretarial duties in an office, or indeed teaching in a classroom. You're working. And the one of the things which I found so irritating about the reality TV industry was the constant question by producers at a very high level about whether or not I enjoyed it. I was working. Whether I enjoyed it or not is completely irrelevant. And so the idea is that if I enjoyed it, then it's fun, then it's entertainment, then it's my fun time rather than my work. And then suddenly you're not a working performer. You're a contestant. You're a member of the public. Despite the fact that you're putting in a month of 12 to 18-hour days and being watched while you sleep as well. I find this whole business deeply, the language which is used by the people in the business, deeply manipulative. The issues facing freelancers, therefore, in reality TV or the games industry highlight broader concerns about ethical standards in creativity, in the creative industries. As the demand for explicit content grows, therefore, so too must the responsibility to protect those who bring these stories to life. By advocating for greater transparency, for greater consent, for greater respect, performers can begin to address the power imbalances that leave so many vulnerable and ensure a safer, more ethical environment for everyone, including the people watching or playing these games or watching the reality content that's being produced. I think the effect on an audience is significant. And if an audience is watching something that has been produced in an unethical way, then an audience is compromised as well. An audience is complicit. And that, I think, should make everybody concerned.